Hello, and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview, where we take a look at the stories being covered in the current edition of the North Coast Journal. I'm your host, Dave Frank, and I'm joined this week by Thad Greenson, News Editor, and Jennifer Fumiko-Cahill, Arts and Features Editor at the North Coast Journal. Welcome, guys.
How you doing, Dave?
How you doing?
Pretty good. I know we kind of always drop a line here about the weather, but hey, we've got cray-cray weather.
Has been intense.
It's like winter wonderland interspersed with rays of sunshine like right now. So I guess you got to just hold on to the reins for a while this, whatever weather pattern, I guess, gives us this extraordinarily rare weather. Although we're going to talk about how it's not that rare. So let's, I guess, give you that platform, Thad, and dive right in. Why don't you tell us what's on the cover of this week's North Coast Journal?
Yeah. Well, so first on the cover itself, we have just a really beautiful shot by David Wilson, who's a local photographer who really specializes in nighttime photography and capturing kind of the special lighting at night and doing the I'm not a photographer. I don't know the term. The
freezing. The term is freezing because he was out
Yes.
there at dawn or pre-dawn.
Time lapse is the term that I was looking for, but yes, he was definitely freezing out there. But yeah, just a beautiful shot. So pick it up, appreciate it. But then that leads to two stories inside the paper. One of them, which is kind of a compilation of reader submitted snow photos that we called out for last Thursday, the 23rd, when all of us woke up to this blanket of beautiful snow in Humboldt County, which is rare. And then.
Really cool.
Yeah, and it was just fun to see, what it looked like in different areas of the county, and then just the kind of the fun that people were having from snow friends of all sorts and sizes to people, sledding in places where there's not usually sledding.
I actually was exposed to or saw pictures of snow friends that where can't tell how big they are, but basically people have told me, oh yeah, that was like a foot tall. And
Yeah.
they just took a strange photo angle. They didn't actually have enough snow to make anything really more significant than a wee snow friend.
It was adorable seeing warm climate people struggling to make a snowman. And it's like, so it's looked easy all these years, hasn't it? Hasn't it? To keep all the grass out of your snow and everything. Tougher than it looks, Humboldt.
Woke up on that day here in McKinleyville, and my daughter was off school, and so she wanted to grab a snow sled out of the garage and go down to Pearson Park in McKinleyville and sled down the grassy hill there. So we did that. There was a bunch of other kids. She had a great time. On our way back, we ran into a neighbor who was making a snow person and was exhausted, and she just looked at us and she was like, I forgot how hard this was.
Yeah. You run into the same thing with sledding, like going up and down the hill. When you're a kid, you could do that all day long. You don't even think about it. Try it as an adult, and like by the third time, you're like, I think it's what is it? The risk isn't the effort isn't worth the whatever. I don't know. The payoff isn't there. So much for that cliche.
The giggles, yeah.
Yeah, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. There you go.
There it is.
Took a minute. Well, cool. So you've got these two articles. Do you want to tell us a little bit first about the travel-related article?
Yeah. So the kind of point of that article was two things. One is to check in with a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Eureka to just kind of see it feels crazy. We've had earthquakes, we've had, atmospheric rivers, now snow, now more rain. What is going on here? Is this the end of times? What is going on? And the other part of that was just to look at the real impacts of the snowstorm, because while some of us were sledding or building snow friends, others were trying to travel in or out of the county and having a dreadful time of it. So we just kind of recapped how, the airport in McKinleyville was all flights were grounded for a significant period of time, and then State Route 299 and US Highway 101 were both closed, repeatedly over a kind of a 4-day span to travel. And so, that was due to both safety concerns with there just being too much snow on the roadway, especially as it relates to 299, and then with 101, just massive amounts of downed trees and power lines and stranded vehicles between Southern Humboldt and Willits, and which prompted Caltrans to close that road. And then we also heard from the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office that they had to rescue, I think, 5 stranded motorists who got stuck in the snow at various places throughout the county. So I really wanted to reiterate, if we have another snow event like this and you see something from Caltrans or the California Highway Patrol, or maybe you don't, but them saying, if you don't have to travel, don't. If you don't have to leave your house, don't. These conditions are dangerous. Please believe them. Please stay home. Yeah.
Right on. So getting back to the meteorologist that you spoke to, the comment that I made in the beginning was that maybe it's not all that extraordinary, even though it feels like it. But there was a line in the article that says, yes, the coastal snowfall was the most the region has seen since 1989, but dustings every few years aren't unheard of. The last one in 2019. So it's not actually extraordinarily rare. It's just that the quantity is rare.
Yes, it's rare that we get that much snow that it really sticks, and and certainly in McKinleyville and I think in other areas of kind of the coastal county, we got like several inches that stick, which is unusual. Even back in 2019, we didn't have that amount of snow. Like I said, it's been some decades for that. But what I thought was more interesting is, I think that there's been a reaction to the rainfall that we've had up here to close out 2022 and to start this year. And so that was what I was personally kind of most interested to talk to him about. I think there's this perception that like drought days are behind us and everything is, we're just we are flush with water, and not quite the case. He said that as far as our water year, which runs October 1st through September 30th, we're still below normal, just a skosh, just a little over half an inch below normal, but still below normal. And, he said the kind of winter storms that we've had, in recent weeks, some folks might kind of have forgotten about them because it's been a couple of years of really severe drought and we haven't had them. But this is really normal for Humboldt County. This is what winter in Humboldt County does and should look like in normal years.
Well, right on. Thank you for setting the record straight for us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Can we pivot now to the other snow fun event article, the one where you said you have collected photos from residents around the community? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that feature that you guys have this week?
I think that the best thing, we only included a couple of, or a handful of the photos that are online, but you can still go online and see more. My favorite thing is the bewildered pet. And our own Kali Koziris took a picture of her dog, Midge, her little black pug, out in the snow. And she's not even in like a giant amount of snow, but she was just bewildered. And I think in the same way, like kids who have never been around a lot of snow go out and are just like, what is even happening? It was really a delight to look at everybody's pictures. Boy, Arcata, can we talk about Fickle Hill for a second? All the pictures that came in from Fickle Hill were like full North Pole. I remember one of the things that really like took me back to growing up in a snowy area was a car sitting and just with that giant marshmallow topping, the way that, flat surfaces collect this massive and more blows up from elsewhere, and the flat surfaces collect these massive amounts of snow. Jen Savage took some beautiful pictures of, Renee Thompson took the one with the car. Jen Savage took some beautiful pictures of Manila Beach, like over just lots of sand dunes and things covered with snow, which seems, for us incongruous. As cold as it does feel when you foolishly dip your toes in the waters off of Humboldt County's coast. But to see all of that snow and to see the iced over plants, I'm sorry, gardeners. I'm sure it's very bad and inconvenient for you. But it was really glorious to see everything, whited out in that way. And I really appreciate all the readers who sent in their pictures, even the things where it was just like, some people sent in pictures of like their porch with a dusting, and it was just still surreal and just a pleasure to see how y'all are also some good photographers. The pet photo contest and this back to back, I'm starting to feel like some of you need to change your major.
Very cool. Yeah, phones are pretty powerful these days, right? I know that sort of anecdotally, a lot of folks are going out there and just saying, "Oh, I've never seen snow like this. I'm going to go snap a shot," and then they share it, and you're like, "This is really good."
Yeah, I mean, not everybody is David Wilson, who like I really enjoyed when we had him more frequently, but actually the rain is quite tough for him because you're bringing your equipment out and whatnot. But he's got to bring out all this stuff, tripods and, everything else, timers and whatnot. And then he's also got to cover it all to make sure it doesn't get destroyed by the weather, by the wind, by the dampness, by the snow. And then he has to wait. And he does a million shots and he does all different exposures and all different techniques. And sometimes like with waving lights and things like that. He's shared with us a few times when he was somewhere and he thought, this is not particularly safe. He'll be out somewhere where there might be wild animals, or there might be like a car will pull up with like one headlight and they're kind of looking and trying to figure out, is this okay? But David Wilson being David Wilson, he's like, this feels really dangerous. I'm just going to get like 10 more shots.
Yeah.
And then get out of here. But yeah, he braved the weather and risked his equipment to take the photo, and it is really beautiful. And who knows if we'll see it again in our lifetime.
Right, 89 was a long time ago, almost 35 years ago.
Okay, whoa. Rude.
Hey, it was in the article. We have to blame somebody. Let's blame the meteorologist.
Yes.
Oh no. Well, for what it's worth, that's the year I graduated high school, so I'm pretty darn old. But what are you gonna do? Cool. Well, Thad, I don't know if you have any other thoughts at all on the contributions of some of the viewers and listeners out there into this feature.
No, just our gratitude. It's always amazing to send out a thing on into the interwebs via social media saying, hey, we're seeing this thing. I know you're seeing it too. Share your experience with us and have folks really, flood in. It's neat. Very
cool. Community engagement. Love it. Jen, why don't you tell us what else is going on your arts and features beat?
I have the best news that you could have in cold weather, and that is pierogi. Mm-hmm. Pierogi has come to Humboldt County. So, David, I know that you being a Jersey boy, you have had the pierogi. There are a lot of Poles in pierogi, right? In pierogi, in New Jersey. Totally. And all over the East Coast. I actually talked to the owner, the proprietress of the Pudgy Pierogi. Best name ever. Local bands, step it up. The Pudgy Pierogi. It was a kind of fascinating conversation. Jewel Kamicki, which is their more Polish name, was saying that, she's seen some pierogi available in Southern California, where her partner is from, and of course on the East Coast, where her grandparents hailed from Long Island, and there was tons of pierogi out there, but not so much. Oh, she also said you can find a little pierogi action in Texas. Use the term action. But not a lot up north here, and also none in Humboldt County. If I'm wrong, please tell me. But I haven't seen a single potato stuffed dumpling in the whole time that I've been in Humboldt County outside of a freezer. So I was delighted. I actually was walking at the Arcata farmers market, and I just frying onions. And I beelined over to their tent and immediately bought pierogi and kielbasa. Yes, and it is fantastic. So if you have not had pierogi, it is it Polish? Is it Russian? Does it hail from the Kievan Rus region, city-state from the 14th century? Difficult to say. But somewhere between, Chinese dumpling shapes and wrappers coming from the Silk Road and potatoes coming from the quote unquote New World, somewhere in there around the 1500s, the potato stuffing into a dumpling became a thing. And it is a contentious business because if that came from anywhere near my part of the world, I would claim victory also. But the one that is the Polish recipe, the traditional Polish recipe that Jewel uses, is a dough that also has sour cream in it and a filling that has potato. I saw your eyes go there, David. You're like, oh, you really?
I
And
like
then
the
the
sound of that.
filling has mashed potato, sometimes cheese, always grilled onions or caramelized onions, and a little bit of sour cream in there. And it's just a very deceptively simple dumpling. It looks, pale and plain, and you get 3 of them on a plate, and you think, oh, 3, is that going to be enough? It is enough. Um, it is enough to keep you going. Is it enough to satisfy your desire for more pierogi? Maybe not. I also learned that the singular is pierogi, but we say pierogi in the States because what are you going to have one? Come on. Yeah, it is like the tamal, right? So the although no, I'm gonna have 2 of those also. So the recipe that she uses, like I said, from her grandparents, is one that she has made at home and at Christmas and everything with her family. And it's a big social thing in your family, right? Everybody gathers around and helps make this big special occasion food. And I asked her, I was like, so how many do you usually make when you're making like a family dinner? She said, well, for a small family event, I guess like around 70. And I was like, yes.
My people.
Yeah. So actually stepping up production to 200 when she first started out on the plaza in January, and then doubling that to 400 because the pierogi are catching on, isn't that wild a journey? But what really threw me was all of this is being done by hand. Unsurprisingly, for a woman with this level of hand strength, Jewel Kamicki is also a massage instructor. And after hearing about how much dough she can process with her bare hands, I'm like genuinely afraid to get a massage from her. Like, what if she's too strong? I believe
Deep
that
tissue.
she can lift cars. Yeah. But she is making batches, kneading dough. The dough has to be kneaded for about 10 minutes. She says if you skimp and do 5, it's not going to be the same. But the dough has to be kneaded for about 10 minutes. And she is working with batches of roughly 32 cups of flour without a machine. She's just doing it by hand. It's crazy. And I am thinking back to how I wept and cried over my stupid gingerbread cookies because I made like 3 dozen. Come on. So, but she's doing all of this and then stuffing them herself. Sometimes she'll do a few on the plaza, but mostly she does them and then brings them to be fried on site. And you have to boil them first and then fry them in more butter with more onions. So good. But yeah, she's doing all of this, and occasionally she'll do it in front of, customers because it's kind of a sight, right? Anytime you watch somebody who's made something a million times, like if you have the opportunity to watch someone make whatever it is that's their signature thing, you should take time and do it. Video it if you can, because I just always love it. Like, I don't care if David Blaine make things disappear. I don't care. But I do want to watch someone make a dumpling in 10 seconds or whatever. And she does a very lovely kind of like traditional, simple press, nothing fancy, but it is perfect. It is the most tender pierogi I've ever eaten in my life. I don't want my family to try them because they will never be satisfied with my sad pierogi, my tough little punching bags. But yeah, they're just lovely. And my hope is that they will, like right now, I think we're waiting to hear if they are going to get their space for the spring and summer Arcata Farmers Market. but they should be showing up at events and things like that. So even if they aren't able to keep their spot at the farmers market, you should be able to keep a lookout for them. They have a Facebook and Instagram presence, even though they haven't posted much. They're, still new and still getting their sea legs, but you should be able to find out where they're going to be. And they expect to do probably the Friday night markets and things like that. So you'll be able to try them then. But the Tool Fog, I keep saying it, Tool Fog Farms grass-fed beef kielbasa is also excellent. So shout out to them. And my hope is that things will work out and her partner's sauerkraut will start appearing at the stand also. He makes a really lovely pink sauerkraut with purple and green cabbage.
Yum.
Yes.
I thought there was a really cool little quote in there. This is a quote. It's neat to create these little guys that are their own beings. That they're precious little pudgies. And then so she said that, and then she said it was her daughter who first called them pudgy. And then the wrap up quote of the here is, "You don't want no skinny pierogi."
Yeah, no skinny pierogi. And I love that because I was telling her, I was like, this is so great because in my household, if people find it disturbing, but when my mother and I are cooking together, we call whatever roast or chicken or whatever it is him.
Oh, geez.
And so we say, like, put him in the oven. He needs another coat of olive oil, etc. And it's very disturbing to people. But also, like, this is how we talk about making dumplings, right? Like, oh, he looks a little bit overstuffed. He doesn't look like he's going to make it in the pan, etc. But when you're making these little creatures, see, I said it again. They're like gingerbread men. It's okay. And then you eat them. It's fine. But she also makes all kinds, which is really fun. The pierogi is, the standard is potato, maybe a little cheese, the onion, but there are also mushroom. There are ones with meat in them. There are ones with, any kind of vegetables, sauerkraut. She will even make a vegan pierogi, which means omitting certain ingredients from all the dairy and the egg from the dough and the filling, and then frying it in oil rather than butter. But then she's careful to make up for it with other ingredients. And I admire her flexibility in the sense that she loves the traditional one. Like, she's not going to make it without egg for herself, because that's how her family made it. She's not going to understuff them. She's, not going to skip and do 5 minutes. But for someone else, she will absolutely try and make something that someone who's vegan can enjoy. She's working on brainstorming a way to make a gluten-free one enjoy, because as she put it, those poor people who can't eat wheat, there was genuine grief in her voice. Like, she feels for you, gluten-free people. Yeah. So it's really lovely. It was great to talk to her, and it's great to talk to somebody who just loves something so hard. And she's bringing it to Humboldt in a way that, unless you knew somebody who made them, or you made them yourself, or you, as you pointed out, bought them frozen, there's nowhere to buy them in Humboldt. You can't go and have a fresh homemade. I don't hate how they freeze. And eventually, her hope is that maybe they can get into stores, maybe they can have local frozen pierogi. So cross your fingers, manifest with me, Humboldt. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to what they do next, and I am absolutely going to chase that red tent all over the county so that I can try every variety.
Well, you definitely sold me. I'm hooked on the idea of figuring out where to find them too. So thank you so much for covering this.
You're very welcome.
Unfortunately, that's about all the time we have this week. So we're going to have to cut it off a little short. North Coast Journal is available on newsstands now. Pick one up, stay informed. Also available online 24/7, so you can check things out anytime. Thank you, Thad. Thank you, Jen. We really appreciate all your contributions each and every week. And thank you out there for listening. And so until next time, take care.